Hello class, and the purpose of this video is simply to introduce myself and to get you a little bit more acclimated with the class and the requirements of the class. And so I'm a little bit of a camera shy person, so I will share with you the screen capture of my picture, which there you go. This is your professor, and I want to share with you a little bit about my beliefs, my credentials. And so one of the things that I'm very passionate about is pets, and particularly dogs. I happen to be a dog lover, but horses, and I love cats. I happen to have cats, but they're highly allergic. But dogs are my passion. I love horses as well. I think they're just big dogs. I don't have any. I've never actually owned a horse, but maybe when I retire one day, long time from now, I would love to do that and have some horses. That would be lovely. I do believe that how we treat animals is often a reflection of ourselves. And as you can see, I have a Mahatma Gandhi quote there that says, "Greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated," and I strongly believe in that. If you look at countries that are in disarray, typically you see dogs starving on the street and ill taken care of. I've spent a little time in school, so I'll give you a little brief background, not too long. This is my professional profile. I have acquired just a few degrees and a few skills in computers. I love learning about technology. I happen to be one of those weirdos that is always looking at the next gadget. I don't always buy them because I can't afford them most of the time, but I love the thought behind them, and the way that they're designed and whatnot. I think I missed my calling on that. I think one of my greatest interests has always actually been how to create a chip. I just want to make my own microchip. Anyway, so if you want to see this, I provided this link for you in the Student Center tab. So let's go and focus on you in your class. So I'm going to look at one of the 104s, or Math 104 classes. And this is a class where students, for the most part, are extremely nervous, I would say. And I'm here to put your nerves to rest. In the Student Center, you'll find all of my contact information, including links to websites that provide, background information, because you always want to know who's teaching you and what they're about. Some course information, your course guide is right here as well. In this class, you're in essence going to work through Aleks. So let me go ahead and open the course guide real quick. And so in the course guide, you're going to find a general overview of our schedule, how we plan to go through the class. And this week, what you should be working on is simply your initial Aleks assessment. And so you should have purchased your Aleks code. This is a required resource, extremely important. So if you haven't purchased your Aleks course code, I strongly urge you to do so. And worst case, borrow from a family member or use your credit card, and when you get your financial aid, you can pay it off. But to stay on track is key in this class. So it's not that you're going to be in a bad state if you haven't purchased it already or done the assessment. It's just, staying on task would be the best way to go. So all we are doing this week is simply just getting you set up so that we have the initial assessment completed. Please understand that the initial assessment builds the pie for you. So when you're sitting for the assessment, I don't care how badly you're bombing this thing. And like I stated in a prior email, which I'm going to show you, most students score between 10 and 25 topics, out the gate out of the 285, which is why you're taking the course typically. I do have one exceptional student whose name I'm not going to mention because I didn't ask him whether it was appropriate, but he's at 81% already. So this is a student who will more than likely finish the pie halfway in, and then begin the Math 304, the Math 300 Pi process halfway through the class, so that is an option. Okay, so this week one, you are to spend your time working in the Pi. All of the work is done in the Pi, so as I continue to talk about the Pi, I'm going to actually show you what that looks like if you haven't done so already. You will have your first quiz week 4. It will be on all topics covered, weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. I will provide you a video and a sample test with answers, and I will walk you through the different types of questions and how to solve them. I would recommend you watch this prior to sitting for the test, or the quiz I should say. You have a second quiz on week 6. This is quiz 2, week 6. This one is on exponents and polynomials. Again, same concept. I will have a sample quiz with the solutions and a video accompanying the quiz where I show you step by step how to approach the questions. Week 8, again, quiz 3. This one focuses on algebra, inequalities, problem solving, ratios and proportions, and counting. So when you again do this quiz, you will have the same thing, sample quiz with questions and solutions along with a video accompanying that quiz. Week 10, you will have your quiz 4, which is basically focusing on probability and statistics, same thing. I'll provide you with a sample quiz and questions, and then I will also provide a sample video where I work through each of the questions and show you how to approach the questions. Week 11 is the big one, the final exam. However, please note that I will open the exam 2 weeks ahead for those of you with tight schedules, so there is no excuse for you not to finish this. Where I may be tolerant about you doing the quizzes later, and let's say hypothetically you're not on par with us, but you're falling behind, you can make up the quizzes, that's not a problem. And by the way, they are set to quick retake. Quick retake means that if you miss, say out of the 10 questions, you miss 4 questions, you go back in and you retake those 4 questions. That's all you have to retake. You don't have to redo the 6 that you got correct. And you can redo those 4 questions that you got incorrect until you get them correct. So there is no failure option in this class. It's not your typical math class. Same thing goes for the final exam. In the final exam, which I will open again 2 weeks ahead of time for time purposes, so you have multiple attempts on that quick retake. Same thing, I provide you, actually in this one I break it up into 4 mini reviews that cover the entire final exam, where you can see the questions, how they're solved, how I go about solving them, and you can attempt your final exam having watched those videos. Now, the Aleks Pi completion is 400 points of your full 1,000 points to be earned, which means that it is about 40% of your grade. So when you complete the 285 topics, if you have 285 topics out of 285 topics, as a fraction that equals 1, which times 100 is 100%, times 400 is 400 points. Let's say you do half of that. Well, then that means that of the 400 points, you're only going to get 200. So the idea is that you finish as much of the Pi as possible. Now, you do not have to finish the entire Pi to get an A in the class, but you do have to be very close to finishing. So keep that in mind. So as you work through the Pi, for example, the student that I mentioned earlier who obtained an 81%, that student is already locking in about 320 points out of the 400. Because, do the math, it's a simple fraction. Take 81%, which is 0.81, and multiply it times 400. That is approximately 320 out of 400 points. Just to give you an idea. Now, this section here, the Aleks time spent, we expect you to work at least 7 hours per week. But here's the thing, I know some of you are going to have very tight schedules, as mentioned, and time management is going to be your key to success here. So you may not have 7 hours or any time during the week, but Saturday, Sunday come along, well then that's your 7 hours. Make it count. You can either do it all in one sitting or you can break it up into 2 days. It's up to you. But for the next 11 weeks, you are in a relationship with Math 104, and consequently, I'm the sidekick. And for those 11 weeks, when your friends call you to go out and party, or you have some other family function, you need to think about your relationship with Math 104 for these 11 weeks. It's a toxic and very vile relationship, but you must get through it. Or let's be positive. It is a growing opportunity, and you are going to do fabulously in. So be positive. Just focus on the class for this next 11 weeks. You know, your friends will be there at the end. So we're your family. You're stuck with them. Alright, and then lastly, the quizzes in the final exam. As you can see here, the quizzes are each 40 points, and your final exam is a whopping 240 points. The final exam is simply accumulation of all the quizzes that you've taken. So if you've done well on the quizzes, chances are you're going to do very well on the final exam. Okay? So that's your general syllabus for now. Let's talk about other class-related topics. Oh, and another thing here. You see where it says cell phone number and it says text only? This is where you text message me your questions throughout the day, any time of day. So in a sense, you have a 24/7 access to a tutor, okay? And I can respond back to you. Now, don't tell me in the text message, I'm struggling with this topic. Okay, crystal ball not in hand. I need to know which topic you're referring, and I need to know specifically which question you are referring to, and I will happily assist you then. We are going to have weekly sessions online. I sent you an email, which always check your email and announcements. Let's go to the announcements tab real quick. I've sent you tons of announcements here, and as a matter of fact, just today, I also had mentioned this, but just today I sent you a message about our tutoring session on the 9th. It'll be Tuesday, January 9th. We will have a live session. It starts at 9 p.m. I will be coming out of the first session that I'm running, which is for the graduate students. And I will hold the session from 30 to 60 minutes. If nobody shows up within the first 15 to 20 minutes, chances are I'm going to close the session and just drop it. So I'm not going to sit for an hour waiting for students to ask questions, so I'll assume you have none. So the session starts promptly at 9. Worst case 9:15 for me, and I'll have the same courtesy for you and give you about a 15-minute buffer. If this is a general class, this is everybody come in, ask your question, chime in. If you don't have a question and you just want to listen, you can do that as well. Now, the Aleks code, this is a frequently asked question that I addressed in the welcome message, but apparently the TPS report was missed, and that was a joke based on The Office, if anybody watched that movie. Any case, all you really need for this class is the 11-week code. The book is helpful but optional, technically. Most students have mentioned to me that the book is not really something that they use the explanations from Aleks more so than they did the book. Just FYI. Okay, what else? Yes, posting each week in the chat. So for example, you see here where it says Aleks chat. We don't necessarily have a discussions area in this class, but we do have a chat. What I recommend is that you go into the chat and you at least post something, whether it be an example of a question or a question itself. And so I also provided a section here for introduction. And you can actually introduce yourself if you wish, and that would give you some posting credit there. And that's for attendance purposes, so please don't fail to post. Now, I've provided lots of resources here. Always check the Instructor Insights, and don't assume that just because you check that week 1 that this is going to be the same by week 2 or 3, because I tend to come back in, edit, and add information. And so, for example, just real quick, I also have additional videos. So if you look here, this is another introductory video which helps you understand the Pi topics. Here's another video giving you sample questions that students had asked. So what I'll do is, if you ask me a question and I notice that this is a topic that a lot of students need support with, I will go in and I will actually provide you a video to assist you. Okay, going back to the Instructor Insights. In this case, what you will notice here, it says, I give you a message, I tell you to check this for resources throughout the course, and I will update this section with links such as, let's say I have a student who says, I really don't remember how to simplify fractions. I keep making mistakes. So I ask you to go to this link. So I'm going to click on it just for the sake of showing you. So click on the link. And this link is going to take you to Calculator Soup. Now Calculator Soup will actually simplify the fraction. So something as simple as, just as an example, 20 over 40. We know that 20 is half of 40, correct? Alright, so let's say hypothetically you're having issues with this. You hit calculate, it tells you the answer, but it doesn't just tell you the answer. It explains what is an improper fraction, how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. It shows you how I actually reached the value of 1/2. It shows you how the process is completed to actually obtain the answer. So if you want to clear it and do another question, let's say I want to do 3 out of 6. Again, 3 out of 6 we know is half. Again, it doesn't just do half, by the way, it does others, but it shows you another example. Let's say I had a weirdo fraction like 42 out of 128. Alright, and bingo. Hit calculate, and there you go. It simplifies it again for you, and it explains the steps. So every week, I will provide you with different resources, such as these, and it's not for you to cheat, because this isn't a cheat mechanism. This is a, let's verify this information, let's really concentrate and figure out how and why I obtain this answer, okay? And as you can see, if you need help adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing fractions, which, believe it or not, some people are a little bit afflicted by this. So let's go here again. Sometimes it won't click easily, so you go ahead and copy. That's right. And you open up a new tab and drop it. Control V, enter. So let's say I wanted to add 1/2, and let's say that the other fraction was 3/5, and I'm adding these. So you can see I'm adding 2 fractions with unlike denominators, and I hit calculate. And what I love about this again is that it walks you through the process and it explains the steps, which is very cool. Let's say instead I wanted to subtract these, so just change that to subtraction, calculate, same thing. Alright, let's say I wanted to multiply these, so let's change that to multiplication. There you go, 3/10. And let's say I wanted to divide these instead. Hit division, calculate. Okay? Lots of fun tips, lots of fun tools, and I hope these are helpful to you as you go through the course. Any questions, you know where to reach me.